Is Reverend Joanne Faith Boruck, and the title is Planting Trees in the Spiritual Realm.
Thank you. I like to just stand here for a minute and absorb all the love. And I'll start with good morning, beautiful. Oh, thank you so much. Today, I'm planting seeds. I'm planting seeds of peace and faith. So please join me in consciousness by going within to that heart center where all truth lives, moves, and has its being, as I joyfully state. With gratitude and grace, I know there is only one. There is only one power for good in the universe. There is only one source of all life, one God. And I am the seed from the fruit of life, from the power of the universe. Within me is the power, the knowledge, the wisdom, the path, the infinite package of seeds. Just as an apple seed produces millions more, so do my affirmative thoughts. Today I open my mind as easily as I open a package of seeds. I weed out what's no longer mine to do, and I choose to plant seeds of peace. And I choose to harvest holy, life-affirming plants. With loving thanks for the truth that I'm working with a power greater than I am. For the Center for Spiritual Living, Red Deer. For the spiritual growth of this center and of all centers for spiritual living. For financial security, for spiritual abundance, I am grateful. And I release my word into the soil of mind where it is acted upon and nurtured, germinated, and returned to me, as together we say, and so it is. While we're in this moment of prayer, let us just take a moment to quietly reflect and plant within our own hearts seeds of kindness and love for those who need to know that they are loved and seen. Bring them into your heart as you silently say their names. Thank you. Today I also ask you to hold in your consciousness the Filipino community in Vancouver who was targeted last night, and know that they are loved and they are seen. Okay. Today is a glorious day because today we get to start new. We get a new seed package. We get to start planting seeds of prosperity, abundance, love. It's my intention to inspire and empower myself and others to use that metaphor of springtime out there that inspired me to write this talk, because it's a beautiful time for planting. And what are you planting? It's a beautiful time to affirm peaceful thoughts, using the soil as a spiritual realm. When I talk about planting seeds in the spiritual realm, I mean planting it in the infinite universe where everything's already done. Planting affirmative thoughts and peaceful thoughts and harvesting a holy, holy experience. So I would like Peter to come up and get these seeds. And the first thing I want you to do is take a package of seeds. And we'll just hold them in our, you can maybe give half to Janice if you want. Pete, are you okay? Okay. I want you to hold those seeds in your hand. And embrace the words that you hear today. And First, nurture those seeds with loving kindness. We'll talk a little bit about what happens after you sow those seeds, because sometimes you got to weed out what didn't grow. When I was looking online, I found so many examples of how to plant seeds in the spiritual realm. And I'll read you just a few of them, and then I'm going to give you my take on the idea. This teaching, the science of mind, the seed, the soil, and the plant. That's what Ernest Holmes teaches us. Planting spiritual seeds. It involves positive words, actions, and beliefs. And it fosters growth, being positive, and changes lives. The idea is that seeds, like the Word of God, are positive attitude thoughts, and they influence others and create a positive change in the world. How's it going over there, Peter?
Great.
Okay. So I want you to bring to mind a black field of soil. I know you've driven out in the country or you've been home and you see this big field of black dirt. Or maybe you just have a garden bed in your house and it's full of black dirt. It's so fertile. It's just ready for something to be planted in it, especially this time of year when the weeds aren't growing yet. It's just waiting. Now think about this package of seeds that you're holding on to. These particular seeds are flower seeds, and you don't know what's going to happen to them, whether they're going to grow, whether it's going to be too dry or too wet. But one thing you know is they're going to be beautiful, because you can see it on the outside of the package. They don't show you the seed on the that's on the inside. They show you what the manifestation of those seeds are. So what are you wearing on the outside? What's the manifestation of the seeds inside of you? So you got this package of seeds. Now what's going to happen if you never do anything with them? If you take them home and you put them on the shelf, guess what? That black fertile soil of your mind or out in the field, it's just going to blow away to Saskatchewan. So you might as well plant some seeds that hold that soil in place. And if you don't even have a yard, just put them in your car, and the next time you go for a walk, sprinkle them. Sprinkle them along a path when you're walking. It's not going to hurt anybody if there's a few flowers growing this year. And just throw them there. I'm going to put mine under my deck because nothing really grows really well there except cats that like it. So I'm going to plant those seeds because these seeds don't need much water. I chose them for that reason. And you know, each seed has its own germination time. Sunflower seeds are so quick. They germinate in a week and start to come up, and some of the other seeds might take weeks. So we plant the seeds, and then what do? We sit and we wait, and we wait, and we wait. But let's go back to the fertile soil of your mind, because these seeds are a gift. The seeds inside of you are a gift from Creator. And this package of seeds represents your infinite potential, your deepest desires, your unfilled dreams, and the essence of truth. Do you know, Spirit wishes you to prosper. Ernest Holmes says, guard well this garden of your mind. It is God's garden of your soil. It's your Garden of Eden, wherein it may grow your fondest desires, hopes, blooming into fulfillment. And this is from Ernest Holmes, this thing called you. So you know what happens if you don't plant the seeds? Well, the soil's still going to produce something. If you look in your garden and you don't put any seeds in, I guarantee you something's going to grow, but it's not going to be flowers. It's going to be weeds. And then eventually you got to go back and do something with those weeds. So you have to cultivate it first. Then you got to dig up all those weeds, and you got to plant newer ideas. You got to plant new seeds, broader visions, new inspiration. And the most important thing is to fertilize them. Fertilize them with faith and with hope and with belief and with peace. Ernest Holmes goes on to say, watch your garden carefully, patiently waiting for a new harvest, for you shall reap what you sow. When I was thinking about weeding the garden, I know that's a big part of planting the seed. I was thinking about what a bummer it is. You know when you got those long thistles and the dandelions and you have to dig the dirt around with your finger and try to get them out? And they just don't want to come out. But what a satisfactory thing it is when you pull that plant and the whole root comes out. I think that is so glorious. Because you know what? You can't deadhead a weed, and you can't deadhead a negative thought either. You have to pull it out at the root. I used to think, oh, I've done so much spiritual work. I've healed that, and I've healed that. But it kept coming back. And as I was writing this, I thought, yeah, I didn't clear it all around, and I didn't really wiggle it and get it out by the root. So that's what I'm going to do. In teaching The Science of Mind, Ernest Holmes teaches, I brought this on purpose. You might wonder what this circle is. This is the seed, the soil, and the plant. Ernest Holmes calls it the creative process. So this represents everything. God, universal consciousness, the divine. And the top is your thoughts. That's the seed. And the middle is the soil. That's your mind. That's where you're going to plant it. And the bottom is what's going to manifest in your life. If you don't like what's happening in your life, you better go right back to the top and see what kind of seeds you're planting. And not only that, but see what kind of soil you're planting them in. Is it full of weeds from negativity from other life experiences? Or does it need a little more faith, a little more joy, a little more music to manifest what you want? And it's called the creative process because it's a continuation. You don't get what you want, like Edith says. It's my responsibility to do the work that I need to change my reality. So that's the creative process. And it includes a whole manifestation. It's nice to say just those three things, the seed, the soil, the plant. But what if the plant doesn't grow? The seed that you planted, well, then you got to check the soil. And, it's so great. There's a power for good in the universe greater than you are, and you can use it. Use that to manifest your seeds. Oh, I already talked about that, the life process. So if you take these seeds and you want to make, what am I going to plant? If you only plant two things, make one peace and the other one love. Because those two things will change your life. And they'll change the life of everyone around you. Some people know absolutely what they're going to plant seeds for. Maybe you need a better house, a better car, and you don't know how it's going to happen. You just plant the seeds. But if you don't know what it is that you want to plant peace and love, because everything grows from there. You can also plant seeds of prosperity, loving relationships, divine health. And as you're planting those seeds, make sure you push them into your heart. Because we think our mind is here, but it's also here. Do you know there's the same cells in your heart as there is in your mind? And so if you can't think about how to cement that into your consciousness, put it into your heart. It'll transplant there and it'll grow what you want. So I mentioned earlier that you got to wait for these seeds to grow. That is a hard thing. Ernest Holmes talks about don't take up that seed because you never know. It could be like 1 minute from germinating through the soil. Don't go digging it up. And I wonder if you heard this story about the bamboo. So there was this Chinese farmer. He was looking for sustainable trees, and he found that bamboo is really sustainable because it grows quickly. So he thought, okay, I'm going to plant a whole field of bamboo trees. But 1 year went by and nothing happened. The second year went by and nothing close you could be to digging up a seed to wonder if it's growing. But when it comes, and I know you've all experienced it because you're here, something magnificent happened in your life and you don't even know how it happened because you didn't remember you planted that seed maybe 5 years ago. And if you're not too familiar with bamboo, maybe you could think about Alberta and asparagus. Do you know you plant asparagus and you can't harvest it for 3 years? I'd like to go to Edgar Farms down by Denniston and get my asparagus. But that's a good thing for us to know that not just our manifestation takes time. Everything takes time. Ernest Holmes says, there's a power around you that knows and that understands all things. This power works like the soil. It receives the seed of your thought and at once begins to operate upon it. It will receive whatever you give it and will create for you and throw back to you whatever you think into it. You are more than you appear to be. Life is greater than you have ever known. And my favorite quote, that death is yet to come. He has some great quotes. He goes on in Science of Mind to say, all law, we call this the law of mind that we work in, it's subjective. The soil knows how to take the seed and make a plant from it. It doesn't know if you planted a tomato seed or a potato. It just grows whatever you plant it. I could write, when I was thinking about weeding and pulling the weeds, it was so fascinating to me, and I thought I could write a whole talk just on weeding your garden. But I came across some class I took in Ayurvedic medicine, and one of the things they told us about weeding was there's 6 things you should do. And it all stems back to your thinking. Some people call it stinking thinking. It all goes back to your thinking. And so how often do you take an inventory of your thoughts and just ask yourself, is that the thought I want to carry forward into my life? Or can I just let it go? And the other thing when you're watching your thoughts, you have to remember your thoughts are not you. Your thoughts can be witnessed as just thoughts that are happening in your mind, and then you can decide which ones you want to throw out. Because you know what? You have 90,000 thoughts a day. Surely every one of them are positive. So weed out the ones that no longer serve you. And the greatest thing you can do, come here, find your own way to pray, meditate, sing, dance, anything that brings you joy is called a spiritual practice. And when we're speaking of the mind, I think that must have been the focus on this Ayurvedic class because they talk about your mind being your servant. It's not your master. Your mind's there to work for you. You're not there to work for your mind. And so you can just take a deep belly breath and ask yourself if you have a thought that goes around and around in your head. Can I acknowledge this thought and feel it and just let it go? And you can't always. Sometimes you just have to say, can I acknowledge this thought? Oh, not first about the one who received the seed that fell on good soil is the man who heard the word and understand it. So if you understand what you're thinking, it's growing into good soil. And it says yielding 160 or 30 times what they've sown. And if you plant those seeds, just one sunflower seed, and at the end of the year you pull that head off and see how many seeds you're going to get from one sunflower seed, that is what Matthew is talking about. And James goes on to say, peacemakers who sow in peace reap a harvest of righteousness. So my job, like the seed, is to know what I want in my life. And in knowing